I think a couple of them will be coming in, but I guess we can take it off because for the time's sake.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who know Dave, I think you know who Dave is, but for those who don't, I will just do a very quick introduction. So we are very happy to have you with us, Dave. Thank you so much, all the way from Canada, and it's 3:30 a.m. Thank you again. That's really something. So Dave has been an old friend of BBX for some time, and he's going to share with us today on how to amplify your enterprise with 2030 vision. I'll leave that part to Dave. I'm not going to elaborate on that. But just a quick one on Dave that basically he brings a global perspective into his presentations. And earlier, prior to the call, he said that he would like to share, be a bit more interactive on this one, especially in this past year with COVID and all the things that have been happening around us. In fact, he's in quite a major lockdown currently. Yeah. So he's been a global speaker, mastermind facilitator, best-selling author, very passionate about what he does, wherever he goes, the people that, has touched many people around the globe. And we are so privileged to have him with us. And over to you, Dave.
Well, thank you very much, Sabina, and Dion and Dr. Lee for coordinating this today. And yes, I would love it to be interactive. If you want to come off behind the screen, come in. If you'd like to stay behind, that's great. I would also love you to see the chat. If there's opportunity for you to type in your name and perhaps your business, that's again an opportunity to connect energetically, yet also business-wise. Because I was asked to talk about business, and I do love the topic of business. And in fact, since about 2004, I really got into social entrepreneurship. And I'm familiar with Dr. Lee also. Social entrepreneurs are the people that are the change makers on this planet. We're the ones that will connect, collaborate, and deal with challenges in an uplifting way. So I'm inviting everyone here today, if you've never used the term social entrepreneur, explore it with me today. Feel free to please type your name in. I'm Dave from Canada today. And yes, it's 3:46 in the morning. I generally get up around 4, so it wasn't that much of a shift. One of my brands that I work with today on YouTube is Continual Shift with Dave Rogers, and it's focused on financial and mental wellness for social entrepreneurs. And so, as I heard from Dr. Sindardis, a very similar type of adventure where he's experimenting and exploring Nigeria and other places around the world. This past year, my areas of focus, believe it or not, have been Canada, South Africa, and India. And we've just planted some seeds in Malaysia with Voice of Men 360. And that's a group that was started here in Canada to assist men and boys in their challenges today and in this world we're existing. So I did put together some slides, yet it really is this opportunity to engage. So if you got questions, in the reaction button, you can clap, you can raise your thumb, you can send some love. And that is a bit today to also elevate your experience on Zoom as a communicator. So feel free to explore today. I have a beautiful expression that was taught to me by Dwi Mas International School in Malaysia. And this is the first school for entrepreneur for kids in the world. And the founder of the school and her sister and I have worked together. And one of the philosophies is practice makes, anyone want to type in what you think? Practice makes. Many of us have been trained, and Dr. Lee and I probably been trained this in our school, was practice makes perfect. No, erase, erase, erase. Practice makes progress. Let's go with that concept. If you take away one thing today, practice makes progress, and that could totally change your enterprise. I was asked to talk about this topic, and I'm going to just share my screen a little bit, yet inviting you to engage with a question that you might have, a feedback that you might have in the chat. Allow the communication to really flow today. 5-time your business, how to amplify your business with 2030 vision. 2030 vision, what's that, Dave? How about some of you today can start your plan for what your life will look like in 2030? For some of you, that sounds like a 9-year plan. For some of you, says, there's no way I know what's going to happen in 2030. Well, that's my invitation today, because some of the companies that I invested in over the last 20 years had 2020 vision, because in 2010, they created their 10-year vision. These are companies like Apple. Has Apple evolved and changed over the last 10 years? How about Shopify? Has anyone even heard of Shopify? If you have heard of Shopify, raise your hand or put a comment. Yes, Shopify, a Canadian company now that's the biggest company in Canada. Yeah, in the last 5 years, it's gone from being a small little company to being the biggest company in Canada, overtaking the Royal Bank of Canada. Some of you may have heard of this company called Grab. They went from 20 billion valuation to 40 billion valuation in the last 12 months. These are companies that have transformed. How about Disney? Think about what happened to Disney last year in March, when this beautiful virus came into our life. Someone would say, beautiful? Dave, you call it beautiful? Well, depends on perspective, right, Dr. Lee? I have had a year that has been somewhat challenging, yet everyone in this room has had a year that has been somewhat challenging, or it's been devastating. I've had 5 friends this year who lost their beloveds. On March 16th, my father broke his femur, had to go to the intensive care. My mom's 80th birthday is March 17th. For the first time in 60 years, she wouldn't be with him. We thought we would lose him. That's how COVID kicked off for me. And for those first 10 days when he was in intensive care, but also in a hospital lockdown that his wife couldn't even see him. That led to the journey for me to share today. That also led to the journey of Get 2020 Vision, my latest book, which was focused on mental health, yet in a business practical perspective. Today's talk is about making some shifts, yet 2030 Vision is about planning, practicing, and pivoting. Because even with the best plan possible, it ain't necessarily going to happen in the way that you see it right now. Like Disney. Think about Disney as an example. Last year, this time, all of their cruises were shut down. All of their theme parks were shut down. Do you think the CEO decided, whoa, we can't do anything? No. Do you know how they pivoted? And that's what I'm asking you to do today with me, is to explore some ways that you can go on a journey. And this has been a theme that has really evolved for me in the last year. It's the hero's journey, is that we start in our ordinary life, and then we get a calling. And Dr. Sundardis just talked about his calling. If you know your calling, if you know who you're going to be of service to, write it in the chat. Are you going to be an educator? Are you going to be a social entrepreneur? Are you going to be a teacher? What is your calling? And then we get some pits and perils and problems. Problems like COVID for some people. And we might go into that pit and actually give up. And that's where the book was motivated, because when I came back to Canada after being away for over 30 years, I noticed that mental health, mental wellness, mental illness had become epidemic in Canada. Things like depression, executive isolation, corporate PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, insomnia, suicide had become so prevalent in Canada. So I went and I studied and I interviewed nurses and doctors and practitioners and entrepreneurs. And we came out with this idea that if you go through the pit, which many entrepreneurs have had to do, you come out with a new special power. That special power is what I'm looking to glean from you today as you take it and you return to a new world that's focused on today, yet maybe with a map of what 2030 might look like for you. And so when you hear this journey, the hero's journey, the Shiro's journey, I'm inviting you to actually start seeing you in your journey right now. Because the beautiful thing about having a few decades under our belt, like Dr. Lee and I have, is that you notice that every 10 years, it tends to be a new journey. In fact, I ask you to reflect on your life. Think about 0 to 10 as a playful child, 10 to 20 as perhaps a rebellious teenager, 20 to 30 as maybe somebody who's in your career or maybe even thinking about getting married. How about 30 to 40 as a new parent? How about 40 to 50 raising teenagers? Right, Sabina? Is that a little challenging at times? And so that's what we're talking about is 50 to 60, there will be a whole new other journey. My son, some of you met him when he was like 4 years old in Singapore. Today he's 21, has just completed third year at university and did a podcast with me this week talking about cryptocurrency. Because for the last 2 years, that's been his major. He's actually made more in cryptocurrency in the last year than he made in the last 12 years of investing. Because I taught him how to invest in stocks like I just showed you 12 years ago. And so this journey, as I've now been a caregiver for the last year and a half, the 80-year-old journey, is it sad and lonely, depressed? Or like my mom, taking up painting for the first time at 80? How about stock trading on her phone? The last thing she's done in the last 3 months. How about when she saw her grandson using an iPad when he was cooking and getting upset? What's he doing? Look what iPad with the cooking. And now 3 months later, she's doing new recipes from around the world using her iPad as her friend in the kitchen. Letting go is a big part of where we're going to go. I have a slide here, but I'm going to ask Sabine. Sabine, come off mute, and maybe a Dion, come off mute. When you think of the word COVID, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Fear.
Fear. Thank you very much. How about Dion?
I would think change. I feel like it compelled change, and it forced people into uncomfortable territories from all around the world. And we were all going through the same thing. And I think that sort of unites everybody as well and forces people to change.
Beautiful. So, folks, I'm asking everyone here, when you think of COVID, come up with a C word that has taught you something in the past year. And this is an exercise that I did first time in South Africa when the South African Travel Services asked me to come talk on mental challenges of COVID. And there was a big difference. There was some people who played with very, very much fear-based. They couldn't even give me a C word. If anyone here, give me a word that either starts with C or O or V or I or D that has influenced you in the last year. Digitization, fantastic, Luke. Change, as Dion said, fantastic. Sabine, the fact that fear has been like a magnet for so many people. Fear of losing their house, fear of losing their business, fear of losing their loved ones, fear of losing their health. But what isolation has been a great one, Gina. Isolation right now, executive isolation is a key theme these days in corporate. Executives are extremely lonely because who can they talk to? Can they talk to their spouse? Many of them, as you've seen this year, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, the richest men in the world, have decided to end 20-year plus marriages. How isolated do you think not only they are, their partners were? This doesn't go beyond class. This is everyone. It's not about money when you're talking about your communication with yourself and with your others. So a C word for COVID. Have you learned to be a more effective communicator? So continue writing words, folks. Please just give me a V, vaccination, fantastic. Any other words? My slide on this was actually taken from my presentation, which I absolutely love because this presentation was helped designed by somebody in Malaysia who has started the Voice of Men 360 in Malaysia, and she helped me with these slides. Yet this is what it is to ask somebody, if you want to have a really uplifting communication with somebody right now, Ask them, what has COVID meant to them? I have some friends who used to work for the CIA. C for them is corruption. O is overt. V is vicious. I is intimidation. And D is dastardly. That was the feedback that my friends who used to work for the CIA gave me. I've had people talk about C is clarity, O as optimistic, V as in vitality, I as independent, and D is discipline. That was the credit risk manager for a bank in Malaysia. And so your reality of what COVID has meant to you might shift today, because that little experiment could be something that could be a lot of fun to ask a teenager. And I've done this exercise now with people all the way from 12 years old all the way to 85. And it is individual. It allows people to have a picture of what it has meant to them today. That's where we can do innovation, Luke. You're absolutely right. Does anyone else have a C or an O or a V or an I or a D that you would like to add? Because I would like to share my C, if it's okay. And one of the things that's cute that you could do is it okay? Raise your thumb. And you can interact, because that's what we're looking to do, is assist you in your communication using Zoom. I've loved Zoom. I've been on Zoom for days. My December challenge was to interview authors about how to write a new book. And I interviewed 23 people on writing books. That's how it's been for me. My commute is, as it is for many of you, 5 seconds into the office. I totally renovated the office this year. It's been so beautiful, Sabina, caring. If you would like my little recipe for having this great year, it's been curious. Yet being a caregiver, the big thing that has changed in my whole energy field is compassion. Compassionate leadership. I have a feeling Dr. Lee can really resonate with that. Yet compassionate leadership is often about having the consideration and the curiosity of where the other person is. And so I've had people hit me and knock me down. And if you're going to be in social media, get ready for some dark energy, and you'll need some of Dr. Sindardis's strategies to deal with energy that might be attacking. That might be, there's an expression in Australia and New Zealand called the tall poppy syndrome, that if you actually stand above, you're going to have people that want to chop you down. And so if you're going to be a leader, get ready on social media particularly, you're going to get 30 to 40 to 50% of the people who write nasty things to you. Legal cases, attacks, that is part of the leadership's challenge that we have that can be exhausting. So one of the things is courage is so important. You're absolutely right, VJ. The courage to step up, the courage to be heard. In one of my earlier books called Entrepreneur X Factor, it was about show up, step up, and give back. That takes courage. And so compassion, curiosity, change, cooperation, collaboration, these are great words. How about O? Does anyone have an O word that has really been magnified? Because this whole today is about 5 times in your business. So we are looking for opportunities. And that's where, again, in this section, I'd invite anyone who wants to write your name, your business, what energy, what field are you in? And that would be useful so that people could see what you do. And so, Luke, I'm not sure what field you're in, but feel free to write something down to let people know your contact details, because that's what's been beautiful about Zoom interactions, is that you can connect with people and then potentially follow up and look and explore. And so for COVID, there is opportunities. The key one for no matter what age you're in is vitality. Do you have a vitality strategy? What is your vitality strategy? If you see Dr. Lee's green in the back, that is vitality personified, folks. Go do some nature walks. Go out and enjoy the park. Go connect with a tree. Go do meditation by the waterside. And some people will say to me, I don't know how to meditate. You know what great meditation is, folks? Run. Go for a run. That is a meditation. I became a yoga instructor. This is something new, Sabina, that you weren't aware. In the last year and a half, I went to India, I went to Goa, and became a certified yoga instructor. Inspiration, as we talk about, I was my friend at 55 years old, had double hip replacement surgery. And we've been friends since we were 5 years old. And it motivated me to go and become flexible. And so I had never taken a yoga class before I signed up for an instructor's course. 30 days, 12 hours a day, learning yoga. And then coming back to Canada and becoming a yoga instructor. It's one of the funniest things I've done in the last year and a half. Yet being a volunteer for the YMCA, that inspiration, the integrity of your message, these are beautiful I words. Yet the one that I really love is innovation. And so here is business people looking to pivot, plan, have a 10-year plan, write out the things that you would like to do with your business. Disney did not have the plan fully about going and streaming their business. Yet in the past year, they achieved their milestones for 8 years in the future. This past year, they pivoted, they focused, and they went into streaming. Their streaming business, over 130 million people have signed up for Disney Plus at a monthly fee that they've just been able to increase, and they've had record earnings this year by a pivot. If you start seeing your business as in education or as in wellness or as in cryptocurrency, the business that I just did a talk on for Canada Startup, it was she created baskets, and she only really worked at Christmas, and she was mainly a producer for retail organizations under wholesale agreements. And that was her business for the last 10 years. Well, guess what? That shut down this year. She has pivoted and partnered with Shopify. And now she's doing a business. And this last chat we had, which I'm going to post here for you, so that some of you can see, experience some of the conversations, because that's what's really cool about looking for ways to use technology in a new and exciting way. So I share a little bit about becoming an author, because each of you could become an author. And by being an author, you can think about it, well, who's going to read my book? Or this is part of my personal journey, my brand. You learn so much about being an author. As an entrepreneur, this lady who started Shopify, she's now got to figure out, how can she accept crypto? And by finding that question, well, what can she do to actually allow crypto to be part of her business? Because right now, if you're not interested in crypto, you're missing out on huge opportunities. Now, some people will say, Dave, I don't know anything about it. Well, that's the old you. When you were 20, maybe you knew nothing about it. When you're 30, start learning something about it. My son at 21 has taught me more about crypto in the last year than the 10 years that I lived in Singapore working for crypto companies. So that's one of the curiosities for you folks. If you're receiving money right now, figure out a way that you might start receiving crypto. And then you might make a little investment. I'm not saying everything. Yet as somebody who's an entrepreneur right now, if you're not interested, then you're just saying, I don't want to receive that currency. I don't want the Singapore dollars. I don't want the Malaysian ringgit. No, you've got to look to maybe use PayPal, because they're now accepting crypto. Or you got to still look at Square, because they're accepting crypto right now. The example that I like to use is Michael Saylor. The company name is MSTR. That's the ticker sign. He took his 1.5 billion of company reserves and put it into crypto, because he's done his own analysis, and he says it's safer to hold crypto than US dollars right now. Now that's extreme. That is the most extreme case that I'm aware of. But guess what? He was able to convince his buddy Elon Musk to move $1 billion of Tesla's money into crypto. This last month, they realized 100 million of profit on the business because of the gains in crypto. And so this is what's fascinating in the world of entrepreneurship. 5 times your business. It's not about what you're doing today. It's the opportunities that might be coming about in the next week or month. one of the things that I really noticed, though, is if I go back to a slide, is that if you're in a certain state, and that certain state has been very much like this for my friends in South Africa, has been about being a recipient of what it has caused. It's caused burnout. It's caused anxiety. It's caused grief. It's caused depression. It's caused mental challenge, isolation, and loneliness. That has been a reality for many people right now. And so when we're working with our team, when we have an awareness that that's how this is impacting them, we may be able to assist with their shift. But a big part of my research this year has been about the grief cycle, the 5 stages of grief. It's in my book, Get 20/20 Vision. As a little gift I wanted to do, actually, I'll ask the question, who here, if I was to give a gift of Get 20/20 Vision, raise your hand or write in the comments, yes, please, and I will arrange to get you a copy of Get 20/20 Vision, because that's one of the things that can happen. Opportunities can happen anywhere. This book that I wrote focused on grief. It focused on shifting people through the grief. When you're a business person, a lot of people have been grieving because a lot of family businesses went under this past year. Canada particularly had impact on barbers, nail salons. They shut them all down. Any small shop got wiped out this year. That's a grief process. The idea of going in denial, and then anger, and then negotiation, and then depression, and then to acceptance, as Dr. Lee talked about, the importance of moving to acceptance. And so thank you for all those yes pleases. I really appreciate it. And I will, with what I'll end up doing here, I will share this. And if you would like a copy of Get 20/20 Vision, send me a little message there. And this was an experiment. After my father's broken femur and then the rehabilitation, I wrote the book, Get 20/20 Vision. And with my team, we had an experiment to make it an Amazon bestseller. And we made it an Amazon bestseller. And the 24-hour launch that we did was on my son's birthday, 20th birthday. And I interviewed 7 amazing women leaders. And we did a bit of a chat about their journey. And one of them is one of my dear friends, which Joe knows very well, Masami Sato from Buy One, Give One, which is an organization that assists people in effective giving anywhere in the world. And when you connect and you find ways to serve, it elevates your tough days. It assists when you're going through grief. That's a chapter in Get 20/20 Vision that we talk about a GPS system, your GPS system, a personalized GPS system to get you from where you are right now to where you want to go. 2030 is about you having a plan for you and your business. It's about being right now in gratitude. Could you do me a favor, folks, and just write down one thing in your life that you're grateful for? Because if we could get to gratitude right now, no matter what's going on in the world, can you get to gratitude right now? What are you grateful for? Is it about learning? Is it about health? What are you grateful for? Give me 1 or 2 comments. My family, beautiful, Sabina. Now see what's beautiful about unconditional parental love. Beautiful, Luke. What are you grateful for? Are you grateful for your health? Are you grateful for your mind? Are you grateful? Joe has a fantastic voice. Again, grateful for your talents, your skills, your curiosity. What are you grateful for? And so if you focus on a GPS system right now in gratitude, then over the next 6 months, 12 months, you can focus on what is your purpose and passion. Many people prevent themselves from knowing what their purpose and passion is or not infusing it into their business. And that's why they have a business that dies, is that they haven't figured out a way to pivot. Because you will have pivots, that's certain. It's the way that we engage the pivots. Sabina, as the kids get older, those are going to be pivots, right? They go from 4 to 8 to 10 to 12. Pivot, pivot, pivot. And that's part of the journey. And then the S, so G, P. P is purpose and passion. This is what you love to do, what you like to do. I'm going to ask you again a question. What do you love to do? That's a question that when I ask about what's your purpose and passion, 7 out of 10 people cannot answer it. Yet if I ask, what do you like to do? What do you love to do? Please write down something that you either like to do or love to do. Jareen, one of the things that you like to do or love, you love coffee. You like to talk about coffee. This is aligned with your business. Write down what you like to do or love to do. Please, everyone just type in one thing, helping people. Fantastic, BJ. Who else would like to write down something you like to do, love to do? Because that allows you to explore new opportunities. Sabine, that's great. You know, 2 most impactful, profitable sites these days on YouTube. 2 sectors that make the most for YouTubers. One is finance, how to trade, how to make money. Number 2, cooking. Imagine if in your job with even BBX, you were able to start infusing online cooking or online. So that would allow you to have chatting or interviewing famous chefs around the world. That could be a whole new way that BBX goes around the world, is creating fantastic content in something that you like, that you love. And that is something that I'm inviting people. So Jareen, you say gathering with family, drinking coffee. That would be a way to infuse the thing that you love to do with maybe what you like to do. Every business right now can be adapting what their staff, what their partners like to do, what they love to do. By doing that, people no longer have a job. For many people, if it's just a job, there is a phrase that it's just over broke. What we're looking for is, can we have team? Can we have people, partners who are inspired to work with us? And that allows making businesses hum to music. Music has been one of the things. I have interviewed about 5 musicians this year. Learning to play a musical instrument is something that some people today might decide. Oh, I love piano. I haven't played piano for so long. Start doing some of the things that you like to do as a child. Explore them. I had trauma as a child, 8 years old. My art teacher embarrassed me and shamed me. For over 40 years, I never drew anything. This past year, I took art classes. This past year, I went through my trauma of being humiliated. These traumas that occurred when we're kids stay with us unless we focus on it and we figure out a way to release it, because it's in our genetic code. Even the traumas of our ancestors get passed on generation to generation. We don't know how we respond to it, yet there's something there that holds us back. That's what's beautiful about this past year with COVID. It has invited people to go inside. It has invited more exploration as a leader. It has invited what I like to refer to. This is fun. Is anyone having fun? If you're having fun, add a little comment, add a thumbs up. This is Get 2020 Vision. It's talking about stress, good stress, bad stress. Some people who like to say all the time, I'm stressed, I'm stressed. Well, I often will say congratulations, because good stress, go for a jog, go for a run, go for meditation. This is good stress. Bad stress, well, guess what? I'm so stressed, I'm so stressed, I'm so stressed. It's your words, it's your focus. Whereas good stress, it's creativity. It's taking whatever you're feeling and writing a poem or doing a speech. Or these days, the young people are fantastic at video editing. It's a brave new world. VJ used the word courage. It changed the word this year from courage to brave. Brave, breathe. Think about the word brave, and you come up with your word. This was the one that I love to share this year. Breathe, change your breathing. Everyone sit back a little bit, put your shoulders back, look up. Breathe. One more time. Breathe. It will shift your whole vitality to study breathing. Go take a course on breathing. Go watch YouTube on breathing. Go create a video on breathing. And then rapport. Again, we could run a whole 3-day workshop on rapport. It's the relationship you have with yourself and with others. Is that little voice in your head, is it a friend, or is it always beating you up? Does it sound like that teacher when you're 8 years old who embarrassed you? Or does it sound like a great nurturing buddy. Awareness, vitality, and then energy dose. The energy dose, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. These are things that you can launch right now if you choose to. VJ, put a big smile on your face. Everyone, put a big smile on your face. When you smile, it releases endorphins. Can you imagine being a leader who never smiles and you're grumpy and you're miserable and that's the type of leadership you'll be. If you have a smile at 4:19 in the morning, guess what? I'm going to have a pretty great day. After this, I'm going to go for a walk or a jog. That's my vitality strategy. Yet I'm inviting you explore what brave can mean to you, for you. Yet that's a key component of Get 2020 Vision, which I'm going to be sending anyone who sends me in the next sort of 24 hours, continual shift at Gmail. I'll send you a copy of Get 2020 Vision. And that's just a beautiful pay it forward opportunity, because it's something that I have a feeling could assist you as a coach, as a business consultant, as a leader, something that might be a future basis for collaboration. Because one of the things that I would love to do is find some ways to support you and your business as you move through your 2030 plan. And that could be a lot of fun. Now, if anyone has a question or anything, because this is sort of one ring right now, Sabine and Dion, if you got a specific question that I can guide a little bit, feel free, anyone, to write in the chat. Yet if you guys, Sabine, do you have a quick question now?
No, I just wanted to say that, yeah, I'm making some shifts right now.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't have a question. Yeah, I guess I should let others ask questions.
Well, the beautiful
Go
thing
ahead,
about
guys.
questions is that we've never been taught how to ask questions.
Yeah.
The school system in Singapore, Malaysia, it's one-way communication. Teaching
100%.
people, including any age, ways to ask questions to create flow is something that is really beautiful. Just to give everyone a little tip, because it's in the book too. When you ask the how question, that's like metal. It chops people down. So, Sabine, how are we going to 5 times sales? Ooh, I don't know. Whereas, Sabine, what would be 2 things we could do to have more fun in the office? See, the what question is the would question. It's about growth. It's about changing people's focus. As a leader, if you want your team to feel great, ask some questions that, Luke, what are 2 things you like to do? Luke, can you come off of mute and have a little chat with me?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, go
Thanks,
ahead.
Luke. So you're creative, you're innovative. What's 2 things that you like to do?
2 things I like to do. Well, I said that I like to earn money, but I love to deliver happiness a gift at a time.
Beautiful. What's your business?
We offer creative gift ideas to companies as well as to consumers. Yeah.
Beautiful. And again, you love it, right? You like it, and your mind's working creatively and innovatively to assist and to serve.
Yep.
And so thumbs up, Luke, because that's a way to infuse your business. And then if you figure out perhaps the next way to do something that could be fun, experimental, that's fantastic. Gina, would you like to come off of mute and tell me something you like or love to do?
I like to make businesses fun, because every business have their own rhythm and music. So when I step into a business, I know what their operations should look like, because I can hear whether it's noise or it's music.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Gina. Bringing rhythm and music and flow to people's ears, to their heart, and to their customers. Fantastic. Sabine, just remind us, are we finishing at 4:30 or what's our time frame? Sabine?
Yeah, 4:30.
All right.
That's scheduled, but if you have 10 minutes on extra, that's okay. If there are questions to be asked, no worries. We are
All
good
right.
for 10 minutes extra.
Super. Okay, so
Yeah.
since Gina mentioned music, all right, because this is one of the things that I actually really enjoy infusing business, because for 7 years, I actually had a business that a big part of our business was music. And so we actually wrote another book, which if I was to hold it up here, called Entrepreneur X Factor, which was a best-selling book in business book in New Zealand. And we use the idea of music. So every business, every individual has a rhythm or flow. And so if you want to 5X your business, it's about going from stage 1, which is about idea, brand, and team. I hope you are hearing some strategies right now to get your team more excited and inspired about your 2030 plan, or about maybe your 2022 plan. Yet it is so important, folks, to plan, to practice, and pivot, the 3 Ps that we started. If you're going to take your business from stage 1 to stage 2, which here it's a little bit mysterious, is that it is about do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. It's about getting some rhythm. Idea, brand, team is stage 1. Yet stage 2 is about what most businesses never get to. And that's about partnering, equity. That means that someone might invest in your business. Acquisition. It means that you might go and acquire. Some businesses will acquire a building, and then they'll shift their business from being maybe an education to being a landlord. That allows you to have cash flow on other ways than your main business. Acquisition of assets. That's what's happening right now in many businesses. You're going to see a lot of businesses being bought and sold. The American market, the SPAC, Special Purpose Acquisition Corps, have totally disrupted the finance field for the last 6 months with a new structure called a Special Purpose Acquisition Corp. If you're not familiar with it and you want to learn more about going into partnership, equity, and acquisition, again, in that message, Continual Shift at Gmail, talk to me about it, ask me, because that is an area that I spent over 20 years in the finance field, about ways to leverage your business through equity and acquisition. And then number 7 and 8 is about cash flow and systemizing your business. That's what Entrepreneur X Factor taught. That is something that I've done video programs about. And if you go onto YouTube, Continual Shift with Dave Rogers, you can see and experience some of the theories behind this, but also case studies. I love case studies. This is how an entrepreneur 5X, 10X, 100X their business. There's a wonderful product, and some of you might use it. In fact, I'm going to be curious. Raise your hand if you use Canva. If you've not heard of Canva, that's okay, because if that's your takeaway for today, that is fantastic. Canva, who has used Canva? Raise your hand or say yes. Or again, it's a revolutionary product for entrepreneurs, designed and started by a young lady in Australia who had a problem. Her problem was when she was doing the yearbook for her school, she had no nice digital assets to be able to create her yearbook. So she started a business called Canva, so that she started bringing in all of these resources for designers, for people that want to do products online. This little business started in Australia, and today, just past year actually, has gone from a valuation of $5 billion to $10 billion to $20 billion. If you used to use Canva 2 years ago, go look at it today to get a perspective of how businesses change and how they pivot and how they grow. This lady has done beautiful work in partnering, because she's not only partnered with people that become her ambassadors, she partners with everyone who uses her products and her services, and it's free. So if you never have heard of it, go and experiment with Canva as an asset for you to be more creative, to have better design, to be able to create thumbnails, to just have fun, because she's created it fun now for video, for all the different social media, and she has got a great product and service there. If you have used it in the past and you haven't seen it lately, go check it out and be wowed what she did in pivot time of COVID, because this is about shifting your perspective of what is possible. Just like if we were to time travel, last March 2020, and you're Disney CEO, what do? You can't have your parks. You can't have your cruises. Everything's being shut down. You pivot onto streaming, and you have 130 million, and you've created 7 years of business planning in 1 year. Plan, practice, pivot. In Entrepreneur X Factor, we really look at those components that allow you to scale, yet you've got to practice this. You just don't have perfect partnerships. You just don't have perfect equity. In fact, when you raise money, then you as a leader have to grow, because then you've got to respond and react to your investors, which is a whole new skill set. If you acquire a business, you've got a whole new skill set to develop yourself as a leader. When you are challenged by cash flow, this is what's beautiful about alternative currencies. You might be able to, that's what's beautiful. The integration with barter for me is beautiful, because in barter exchange, there's alternatives to cash. There's ways to use your services, your products, your intellectual property to be able to do incredible deals that can elevate and can add value to the partners. And then you find ways to systemize this. And you systemize it like Jeff Bezos did with Amazon, where he was able to, through equity and through acquisition, grow for 10 years without having to be worried about making money. And so this is something that is happening right now. A company did that in Singapore and Malaysia that you might be familiar with. If not, please go do your research on Grab. Grab is a great example of a company that went from delivering on a motorcycle to cars to food to technology to now online exchange to becoming a bank. And so that business went from 20 billion to 40 billion in the last year, when their main business was actually most hurt. So that is what the curiosity of being an entrepreneur will allow, invite, and explore. And that's one of the things that I'd really invite us all to reset. And this is sort of my last little slide for sharing. And I'm so grateful to Tila for all the assistance that she gave me on putting together this little presentation today. And so if I get here, I'm going to stop that. And I've got one more little slide that might help you. This is about, if you want to take a picture of this, fine. So much about what we're doing right now. Get 2030 Vision Project Reset. Today, the 7th of May, as we celebrate Mother's Day this weekend, look to recalibrate your energy. Go have that walk in nature. Go explore the way that you're aligning yourself, your mind, body, spirit, your business. Reconnect. That's what I find beautiful. This is what we're living, right, Sabina? We're reconnecting. It's been a few years, right? And so reconnecting. Yet, does it seem like it's been years, or it's like, just like yesterday we had conversations, right? And so the next part, number 4, might be challenging for some of the people here, is rejecting your old beliefs, your old values. There's a certain amount of rejection as you go from 30 years old to 40 years old to 50 that you just have to reject, and that you start to re-energize. You re-energize today, this weekend, and you redesign. And you redesign this global reset. And so when I'm talking to people right now who talk about they want to go back to the way things were, no, it's a global reset. And if you use this method, get 2030 vision for you, your business, your family, your communication, to recalibrate, realign, reconnect, reject, re-energize, redesign. Project Reset. Just as a little seed today for you to explore. Does that make sense? Is that useful? You like that, Sabina? Thank you.
I love it. I love it. I think there's so much to, so much to reflect. Yeah, definitely.
Well, if somebody would like to explore online learning, because again, this is the thing, for some people, online learning has been amazing this year. I've got my introvert friends who have had an amazing year because they've been able to stay in their house, they've been able to learn as much, and they've been getting paid, and they're thrilled. My extrovert friends many of them have had a real challenge this year. And that's another way we've used profiling and understanding team. And many of you know that I've been a part of the #1 Dynamics program for entrepreneurs. I founded and funded that. And so it's something that is really cool to be able to work with people. And if you love to learn online, Sabine was saying that I can offer this as a Udemy course. One of the things that I did this past year, it's got a Mother's Day special on it. It's something that I wanted to offer an invitation. Yet what's beautiful about it is if you don't like online learning, I respect that. Yet as a business person, start looking for ways that what you don't like because you haven't been curious about. And if you could figure out a way to start using online a little bit more as a way to develop your communication skills, your team skills, you might be able to do it and encourage somebody on your team to outsource. Like VJ, I believe, is in India. Work on outsourcing. We got global resources available. And this is where partnering is such a key component to be able to do everything we do. And so I've got this last little one here, my last, but because some people like to figure out ways to contact, you can contact. Get 2020 Vision as a gift. Entrepreneur X Factor, which is the online learning, has been a special Mother's Day special for everyone. YouTube, Continual Shift with Dave Rogers. I've sent a link in the chat. Udemy, Facebook, Coach Dave Rogers, and LinkedIn, Dave Rogers 1111. And let me just thank everybody for your time and your energy. Wishing everyone a beautiful, happy Mother's Day. And if there is any last questions, we've got a couple of minutes left. If not, that's fine. VJ, are you going to ask a question?
No, I'd like to know which part of Canada are you from?
I'm currently in Brampton, Ontario, which is the reddest red area in Canada right now. And it's been, for me, it's been a blessing because being a caregiver, in fact, my parents should not be seeing anybody. And so it's been a year. I left Canada in 1986 and came back in 2000. And so it's been quite an adventure. Yet if I tried to keep my CEO hat on as a business entrepreneur and come back and try to whip my parents back into shape, it wouldn't have worked.
You know what I was relating to? I was relating to what you said about mental illness in Canada. In fact, I had been to Canada a few years back. I stayed there for a month. And I traveled all through from west to east. And it was a prevalent problem even at that time. And I think climate plays a major role in the mental illness in Canada. And I'm sure COVID situation must have compounded the problem and made it worse.
Absolutely. As in preparation of putting Get 2020 Vision together, I did research with medical professions, and February, which has 28 days, has more suicides in Canada than any other month. And so I did take it on to talk about some of the taboo topics. And it's so important because if we're going to keep everything secret and taboo, it's just going to grow without any awareness. We need to shine the light. And similar, shining the light on challenges, gleam opportunities. And so folks, I really do thank everyone to be part of today. Sabine and to Dion, thank you very much for coordinating it. Thank you. Great to see you, Joe. Great to see you, Dr. Sandardis. Luke, thank you for the inspiration.
Thank you.
Enjoy your coffee. Jareen, I'm getting another coffee. It's that time in the morning.
Thank you, Dave. It's really a privilege. I hope everyone's going to go back with something and start that new shift.
Definitely.
For me.
Very encouraging and motivating.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you so
very
much,
Dave.
We hope to have you maybe sometime soon, maybe with a much bigger audience, different topic. Yeah, I don't know, but thanks again for responding to my messages. I know it was like you said, like it feels like we spoke yesterday, but it's almost 3 years. Yeah, so time flies. I think that's something that we all are. I think for the moment, if I may just share what, COVID and the whole thing in Singapore, they call it a circuit breaker. I felt one thing was a blessing that I got to know my children a bit better. Otherwise, it's always a rush, you have four. I'm a mother of four, so it's to balance that. It's never there's never a straight answer to anything. You have a 4-year-old, you have a 7-year-old, 12 and 15. So different challenges come with different ages. But I think I got to be very grateful for the fact that I during that month and a half or two, I really got to know my family better. And I think the communication part of it was another thing that I think continues to improve. Be their friend rather than be the, just the mother. Okay. So I think a lot of learning. So definitely we have to be mindful that we got to continually live with these new things, the new norms. So
thank you, Sabine. You're absolutely right. The communication is such a key component. I'm reminded about one of my mentors, actually, from Toastmasters. I think Joe knows her too, Dolly Yo, and she's been starting a series of programs in Singapore for parents. Stop parenting, start coaching, and she's thinking more about assisting your kids to communicate more effectively. And so maybe she can eventually do a BBX talk too, because so many parents are really challenged because they think they want that 99 or 100% perfection. Whereas maybe you take that one theme from today, which is practice makes progress. And if you infuse that in parenting and allow your kids to infuse it, it may allow more joy.
Yes.
And when we have the hurdles, we can express compassion. We're not striving for perfection. So.
Thank you so much, Dave. If anyone has any last question, otherwise we'll let Dave go for his morning walk. Get some vitality.
Thank you so much, Dave, for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Great group. I really appreciate everyone's
Stay
interaction.
safe, everyone.
Stay safe. And curious.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so
Dave.
much.
Thanks, everyone.
Enjoy your weekend and happy Mother's Day to
Enjoy your
mommies
day
out there.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Happy Mother's Day,
Mother's Day,
everyone.
Sabina and all.
Sabby.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend, guys.
Bye. Thanks,
you.
Dave.
Bye-bye.